Good afternoon. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. Welcome to the 2 o'clock daily coronavirus update here for Westchester County. I am in White Plains, as I am most every day, but I'm not in downtown White Plains. I'm here in the southern end of White Plains at Saxon Woods Park, which is one of our pride and joys in Westchester County government. We have lots of different components to this park, including a golf course that's on the Scarsdale side, some wonderful hiking trails that you enter just over the other side of the Hutchinson River Parkway in Harrison, which winds its way, goes through part of Mamaroneck Town, and here in the city of White Plains, where we have the busiest pool that we have in the Westchester County system. We have 5 pools right now. One of them will not be open this year. The other 4, including Saxon Woods, will start this year. We're going to talk about that in a second with Kathy O'Connor, who's our Commissioner of Parks, Recreation, and Conservation. First, let me give you the statistics for those who want to know where we stand. We continue to have good numbers, good results in the diminution of the coronavirus outbreak in Westchester County. I repeat it every day, but the bottom line is we had a peak in late March, early April, and we've been consistently coming down from that peak. As of today, we have 536 active cases of coronavirus. That number is actually slightly larger than yesterday's number, and that is owing to the fact that we had a few more cases out of testing yesterday rather than we've had before. We had 45 positive tests for coronavirus, but we also tested 4,600 individuals. So as a percentage, it stays in the range of the 1% that we've had consistently, but the large number of tests gave us a little bit larger number, and because of the number of people that went through the 2-week incubation period and cleared it, we didn't have quite as many cleared from that, so the net result is a number 536. That number is still lower than what we had on Tuesday when I was with you from Somers, 546, but yesterday we dipped down to 521. The numbers are still in a very good sequence. This doesn't represent any spike at all. This is a continuation of a good sign. What's also a continuation of a good sign is the fact of testing. Despite what we may hear at other levels of government, we think that testing for COVID-19 is essential. That's how we know how widespread the spread is. And we have now tested 248,966 people for COVID here in Westchester County. And even if you assume that a couple of hundred of them may have been second tests for individuals that have been tested once before, that still puts us just shy of 25% testing in Westchester County. 1 out of every 4 people in Westchester County have been tested for COVID. And the particularly good news is that of everybody that tests for COVID, 86% of the people have tested negative, 14% have tested positive, and that number is more dramatic in the last month and a half than it was in the early part where we had a higher percentage of testing. So everybody's worried, are we going to spike? Are we going to have a second wave? We can't say in any one day whether or not we have a trend that's going to last multiple days, but our intent is certainly to look at whether we're seeing a trend line or not, and the trend line now continues to be a good trend line for us. We also have the happy report that for the second straight night, no one died from COVID-related illness. And that is an important statistic. We hope that number can continue that way over the next number of days. We've lost over 1,400 people from COVID. We hope we lose no one else from here on in. But consecutive nights of 0, and then some nights where we've only lost 1 person, all of that is a much better set of circumstances than we've had going back to the peak period of time. And we're very hopeful that those signs continue. If those signs continue, we continue to make progress through the different phases that the governor has laid out. We're in phase 3 right now. That opens up nail salons. It opens up many personal care items, waxing, tanning, tattoo parlors. I don't think I've been in any one of those things ever, but they are businesses out there. They employ people, and there are people out there who are waiting to go into the tanning booth, who are waiting to get their next tattoo, and it's a free society. They have every right to do that, and so we're happy that those businesses are open. Nail salons are open. We know that's highly used in this area, and so we're moving toward phase 4, which is still the better part of 10 days away, 12 days away, but hopefully things are going in the right direction. The purpose for being here at Saxon Woods is to announce that this weekend we'll be opening Saxon Woods Pool here in White Plains, and then also in Yonkers, the Spray Ridge Pool Complex, which has 2 pools involved, and they have both a competition pool and they have an activity pool. The activity pool in vernacular is the kiddie pool, and the adult pool, competition pool, is where you can do your lap swimming, which many people will enjoy. And that complex we opened last year after it was closed for 8-9 years. Many members of the Board of Legislators, Ben Boykin, who I'm going to introduce in a second, who serves as the chair, was a member of the board along with Mary Jane Shimsky, fought to have that place open for a long period of time. It did finally open under our administration, and we're very proud of that. Proud of the Board of Legislators' support for it. That's going to open this weekend as well. But it's not easy to open a pool. We opened beaches a month ago, and if you can imagine, where the water line is and where people stay, the water line is either crescent or straight line. The water is here, and everybody is here, and you can structure where people can stand and stay there. Here in a pool, you're working around the perimeter of a pool, and it's much easier for people to cluster. And at a pool like this, you're more likely to get mom bringing the little kids, which you may not get at a beach. You will get that here. And in order for every mom to keep an eye on every little kid that's in the pool, they would tend to cluster around the pool. So we have our top-notch recreations team, and their challenge was to figure out how to open a pool with social distancing, and then obviously, of course, masks. So I'm going to ask Kathy O'Connor to join me. Perhaps Peter Tartaglia, the first deputy commissioner, will join her, and they'll talk a little bit about the protocols that they're using with this pool and the other pools. And there are some changes. For those of you who've been here before, there are some changes in the way the pool will function when it opens. So, Kathy, Peter, if you would.
Thank you very much, County Executive Latimer. I'm Kathy O'Connor. I'm the Commissioner of the Westchester County Parks, Recreation, and Conservation Department. And as the County Executive mentioned, we are here at Saxon Woods in White Plains. I have to say I grew up coming to this pool almost every day until I actually had to get a job. So it's near and dear to my heart. Once we were told that we were opening the pools and starting tomorrow, June 26th, we're opening here. And as the county executive mentioned, we're opening at Sprain Ridge Pool. The way that we're operating, and this is a work in progress because of social distancing, all the protocols that we've had to follow very, very closely, working very closely with the County Department of Health and all the rules and regulations. What we have been told to do is we are allowed to open with 50% of the capacity of what we would normally do. So with that, the good news is that this is still a very big pool. That's giving us a number up to 1,400 individuals that can come into this area. Sprain Ridge Pool is a little bit smaller. It's closer to about 700 to 800. What we're doing is we're doing 2 sessions. The first one starts at 11 a.m. It's 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Everybody would then have to leave. And then from 2 to 3 p.m., our little crew of many, many, many additional people will be cleaning down the entire pool area, indoor, the bathrooms, etc. Any surface, any handrail, anything that can be touched by a human hand will be cleaned. We will then reopen again at 3 p.m. and will run from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Once everybody leaves, our crew will then again clean down, wipe down everything, disinfect, from 6 to 7, and then the day will be done. Tickets, and we're selling wristbands. Wristbands are the best thing we can utilize. We always utilize them at Playland. They're waterproof, and you can't take them off once they're on unless you cut them. Wristbands will go on sale at 9 a.m. We will sell them until the first session is closed, and you can buy a ticket, you can buy a wristband, and you can leave, but then when you come back and we open at 11, we will have what we call an easy pass route so that you're not waiting on yet another long line. We will sell the tickets for the first session until we sell out. Once we sell out, we will then start to sell the second session. If that all closes down, then we will start by around 2 o'clock selling for the second session. And that's the way that we're going to operate. We're open every day. The pools are open every day, Monday through Sunday, starting tomorrow. We're very excited about it. Our staff, I have to tell you as the commissioner, the staff is always way better once we're busy and once we're doing what they've been hired to do. We have been allowed to hire way more, in some cases double the number of people. As the county executive mentioned, there are now staff that will strictly, they're not lifeguards, we have our usual lifeguards, but there will be staff that strictly stay on the board boardwalk or on the deck, keeping families separated. We didn't want to get into a whole lot of circles and squares and that kind of thing. It's a very large area. Sprain Ridge Pool has a very large area too. And so very nicely, politely, customer service is of course key, telling people to keep separated. And then we will be announcing throughout the day, without being too annoying, we've been doing it at the beaches and it works, reminding people when they get up out of the water or when they go in to use the bathroom or the snack bar, which will be open, and it's a new concessionaire, so we're very excited. He also operates the mini golf, which has been open, so we're happy about that too. You must be wearing a mask. And basically that's the way that we're operating, and we're going to see how it all goes. We're working closely with the county police for obvious reasons, as well as the specials, which is another arm of the crew of the county police that help us just keep law and order. Following this weekend, next Friday, we will be opening, the county executive will be announcing, we will open Tibbetsbrook Park, which is in Yonkers, and Wilson's Woods, which is in Mount Vernon. Obviously following all the same social distancing and all the protocols that we've been given and that have been approved. So at this point, we're excited. We can't wait. And the weather has been unbelievable. I just saw very humid and 90 on Saturday. So we will be tested. Thank you very much. Any questions for me?
Yeah, can you just elaborate a little bit on the 1,400 number? Is that 1,400 total for both sessions or 1,400?
No, 1,400 separate session. In regular world, in the normal life, not a pandemic, this area can handle 2,800. So 1,400 is the 50%. Obviously, the same thing at all the other pools. It'll be half what the total attendance would normally be.
You mentioned the vendor. How has this the pandemic and the shutdown affected the county's relationship with the private vendors who do things like operate here at Saxon Wood and at your other?
Right. We work very closely with all of them. Needless to say, they've been champing at the bit to get back into the ability to work. We have designed all the social protocol for them, following the Department of Health, County Department of Health, and they're very agreeable. What you don't see yet, nobody can wait online in big clusters. It'll either be separated or we might be going to a numbers where you make your order, you walk away, and then they call number 13 and you go. They're willing certainly to follow, and if they don't, there'll be consequences, but they're all anxious to do the right thing, and we work very closely with all of them.
And finally, how has the financial impact been on the county, on your vendors, and on the relationship between you two?
I'm sorry, the natural?
The financial.
Oh, financial. That's, yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you both, Kathy and Peter. Peter, just to answer your question about the financial impact, the loss of sales tax revenue has been the single largest financial impact to the county budget so far, and we're still in the world of estimating how much we're going to lose over the course of the year. It depends on how fast we get back to closer to normal. We're on the road back, but we're not back to normal yet. And in terms of lost revenue, while we're opening up the pools pretty much on time, and we've done very well at the golf courses, proportionate to those individual revenue streams, we've lost the revenue stream so far at Playland for already, what it amounts to a month and a half, and we're going to lose that in some other parks' revenue streams. So I think, the old line about you make lemonade out of lemons, we've been handed some lemons financially, and so where we can generate reasonable revenue, we are. In some cases, as we talked previously often about the bus system, that's now a free bus system for the immediate while, we forego revenue because we don't think we could safely run the system if we tried to charge and so forth of that nature. So, yes, Carol.
Just one quick question, Mr. Latimer. If you could summarize the changes that parents and kids, families will see once the pools open up here in Westchester? It's not going to be like last summer.
Right. The attendance is going to be limited. I mean, there's going to be a significant opportunity to come and enjoy it, but it's going to be a limit on the total number of people that can come here. It's broken up into 2 sections, so you have to get a ticket, aka a wristband, for each section, because there will be a break of time in which everything gets sanitized. All these metal surfaces that you see are going to have to be sanitized to make sure that there's no residual potential residue of COVID on them. And there's going to be concern about social distancing and mask wearing. So this is not part of our normal society. It has become now that in the last 3 months or so. We're not making a political statement. When I put it on, I'm protecting you from whatever I might cough or sneeze. And so that's the purpose. But that will be a requirement outside of the water for people who are moving about. So if you go into the restrooms or whatever else, going to the concessions, that's a change in terms of the behavior. I think a lot of it is common sense. And the alternative was not to open the beaches, not to open the pools. And we decided, and frankly, I relied on the great professionalism of Kathy, Peter, and the people in their organization. And we asked them, we didn't tell them, you'll do this. We said, can it be done? How would you do it if we could do it? And they talked about it, worked it over. We didn't make an announcement immediately because we knew it was going to take some time. And we think we've got a good plan. And the proof of the pudding is we did golfs, we did Bicycle Sunday, we did the beaches, and each of those worked out, and the spread continues to diminish. So we believe that we can do that with the pools as well. If we see any kind of backsliding in the numbers, if for some reason we get spiking that's happening, and there'll be more than just a recreational function thing, but if we see spiking, then we'll step back on it, the things that we control. We don't want to do it, but we'll do what we have to do. Certainly, Governor Cuomo has the overarching executive authority, and he's used it, very aggressively to shut things down when he thought it wasn't appropriate. But within our authority, this pool we think we can manage. If we can manage it properly, it stays open, and people can enjoy it through the end of the summer, which is what our original plan would be. So with that, I'm going to bring up some colleagues of mine who serve and represent White Plains in a number of different capacities. I want to highlight, before they come up, they're each going to say a few words, and if you have any questions that are a little more specific to the local communities and so forth, you're welcome to ask them questions. But I have personally served in a number of different positions in my career. I've been a councilman in my home community, not White Plains, a few communities away. I've served as a member of the county legislature, as chairman of the board of the county legislature. I've served in the state assembly and then elsewhere. And these colleagues of mine, I call them colleagues. We may not have the exact same titles today, but at various times we did. But more importantly, nothing gets done in government unless you cooperate. You cooperate across the party line. You cooperate within the executive branch to the legislative branch. You cooperate between different levels of government, between the state and the county and the local government. And you often see reported our conflicts, and we have conflicts. And I would say any of you who are married, you go home, you may have some conflict tonight over what are you going to have for dinner. But the bottom line is we work through those conflicts, and underneath it all, we show respect for each other. The people who I'm going to introduce have all been duly elected to their positions. You'll see diversity, men and women. You'll see people of different ethnic background. That is what makes Westchester as strong and as good a county as it is. It is not the leadership of one person sitting up on the 9th floor, but it's the fact that in coming to that position, I served in a lot of other positions, and I understood how critical it was to have these relationships in place, and I've tried very hard for us to have those relationships, and I'm gratified that we do. So let me introduce my colleague and partner, the chairman of the Board of Legislators, Ben Boykin, who represents White Plains, Scarsdale, and a section of Harrison. And then behind him will be joined by the president of the White Plains Common Council, Nadine Hunt-Robinson. Also from the council, I see Jennifer Puja, who will join us here, and New York State Assemblyman David Buchwald, who's a former member of the White Plains Common Council, who moved up to the Assembly a number of years ago. Come on over here, guys. Mr. Chairman, the microphone is yours, then you can pass it on to my other colleagues.
Yes. Thank you, County Executive Latimer. And it's fantastic to be at Saxon Woods Pool and everything that's here. This is really an outstanding asset for the county. And thousands of people come and enjoy this pool each year. I remember bringing my daughters here years and years ago to swim in the pool, do the mini golf, just enjoy this beautiful area. But I want to talk about the Board of Legislators as the funding mechanism, because the board controls the purse strings for the county, and we invest millions of dollars in the park systems in Westchester County. It's nationally recognized, the park systems in Westchester County. I think they just won an award last year that goes for 5 years. And they come before the Board of Legislators for capital spending, to reinvest in our pools, to reinvest in our infrastructure, to reinvest in our trails, to make this a great place for people to come and enjoy. And in fact, Westchester County has 18,000 acres of lands, parklands that we own. We've got 6 golf courses. We've got the 5 pools, 4 are going to open this year. We've got the South County Trailway, the North County Trailway that thousands of people enjoy. And it has been my pleasure to work my other 16 colleagues on the County Board of Legislators to make sure that we continue to invest in our park system and in other areas in this county. And I've had someone ask me recently, why are you spending money and investing now? I said, there is no better time to invest when interest rates are almost at zero. This is when you invest. This is when you go in and borrow money so that the future generations and also the current generations can enjoy the beautiful park systems. I live in White Plains. I represent White Plains, most of the city, all of Scarsdale and West Harrison. I'm all over the county. And last year I toured with the Commissioner O'Connor. We went around in a van and toured most of the park systems, the trailways, and then I went out and toured Saxon Wood, Maplemore pool golf course before it was opening. But just going around and looking and enjoying the beautiful parklands that we have in this county. And I'm so pleased that this is opening tomorrow. And as Commissioner O'Connor said, I think it's 90-something degrees, and it seems like that's going to go in. I saw 90, I saw 89, I saw 88. So for the next several days, I hope you can keep it to 1,400, which I know you're going to have to do, but I think there's going to be an onslaught of people wanting to come and enjoy this wonderful asset. And with that, I'm going to ask my former colleague, well, I didn't serve with her, but she took my place on the White Plains Common Council, the Honorable Nadine Hunt-Robinson, President of the White Plains Common Council.
Thank you, Chairman. We are so excited, thank you, County Executive Latimer, about the opening of Saxon Woods. And I want to reinforce, as President of the White Plains Common Council, that White Plains is open for business. Not only is Saxon Woods Park pool open, but we're opening our 2 pools in White Plains on July 1st, the Cottrell Pool as well as the Cardella Park Pool. We're opening, the Greenway is opening. We have invested and spruced up the Greenway for recreational purposes. So please come on out to the Greenway. We have our dog parks, tennis. We'll be having some limited camps. It's on our website, the official White Plains website. But I want to emphasize there's lots to do in White Plains. White Plains is open for business. You may have seen in the news that others are investing in White Plains. The Ritz-Carlton just announced a multi-million-dollar project to reinvest in White Plains. Our restaurants, we have streamlined the outdoor dining for White Plains to make it easier for our businesses, our restaurants on Mamaroneck Avenue. So come on out. You can eat a la fresco. It's great to come out to White Plains. The Business Improvement District is also having wonderful family events. This weekend is a drive-in movie theater. The drive-in movie has made a comeback. I think I'm excited. I have a 5-year-old, so it's Toy Story that's coming up this weekend. But I want to emphasize White Plains is open for business. So with that said, I'll introduce my fellow council member, Jenn Puja.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here today. It's gonna be an exciting time. It's been months that people have been home and they're itching to get out, and with limited camps happening, I'm very fortunate to know that we're gonna have an opportunity that Saxon Woods will be open starting tomorrow, every single day of the week. So for everyone that has been cooped up and they're looking for summer plans, I'm appreciative of not only the fact that it's opening, but that it's opening safely. it's critical at this time that as we go into the next phases as a county, that we're doing things safely. We're doing things in a concerted effort. You heard today, this isn't just a quick thing that's going to just open. There are so many measures put in place so that it can open and be a place where families can come, where people can come and to just enjoy the summer and to be confident coming. And I think that's what's so important. As Council President Hunt-Robinson mentioned, coming into White Plains, seeing that consumer confidence is important in all municipalities right now. And when it comes to recreation, Westchester County's always been a leader. And so I'm so grateful that we have this partnership and that we collaborate to make effective and smart decisions. And I'm also extremely happy to hear the amount of jobs that are going to be here, because just as any summer, it isn't a normal summer for employment. So I'm grateful to hear that we'll have added jobs, added positions, and in general that we'll be working together to make this smooth, efficient, effective, and enjoyable. So I would like to introduce Assemblyman David Buchwald.
Thank you, Councilwoman Puja, and thank you to the county executive and his team for the opportunity to join you here, not just in my capacity as a state assembly member, but as a resident of White Plains. So thoroughly agree with what County Executive Latimer said, that cooperation between levels of government is essential. And I also want to emphasize the great work his administration is doing to bring departments together for good occasions like this. The Department of Parks, and we heard from the commission, deputy commissioners here, have been integral in this effort, but absolutely equally equivalent, the work the Department of Health has been doing here in the county, making sure that we're able to open up safely. And I know they also oversee the process of communal pools around Westchester County that need to get tested and reopened. And the county police, who not just at this county park complex, but also at county parks like the other end of White Plains, North White Plains, Cranberry Lake Park, they've been making sure that the right number of people are entering and we don't get into too crowded a situation. Keeping Westchester operating, if anyone ever had a question about why do we have county government, the answer has been shown over these last few months. The crucial things that we as Westchester residents can be so proud of. And it is a pleasure as a White Plains resident and a father of 2 young girls who love pools and who, like so many others, are enthusiastic anytime they come to Saxon Woods. And not just for the pools, but for the playground and the opportunities here. I don't know if we've gone open to mini golf yet, but those who are big golfers are at a point where they are taking advantage of all the good things that Westchester County has to offer. And we should be very proud as Westchester County residents to live here and to have cooperation between local, county, state, and federal governments, all making sure that we have a wonderful, healthy, and vibrant summer. And I think that's what it's all about. So with that, again, thank everybody for being here. And obviously, if you have any questions for any of the folks otherwise, don't hesitate. But thanks to all of you who are spreading the word to Westchester County that great things are happening here at Saxon Woods and around the county. Thanks.
Thank you, David. Well done.
Thank you, Director.
So just to wrap up, this is our last update of the week. We're updating Mondays through Thursdays now, and we'll have off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Our next update is scheduled for Monday at 2 o'clock. We will continue these updates until Monday, July the 6th, and on that date will be the last day of Phase 3 before we go into Phase 4. We will suspend our daily updates on that date, so a week from this coming Monday. We have our municipal calls where we talk with our local officials and we kind of share information, and in the process of that, we're hopeful that we'll move smoothly into Phase 4, which will be a much more open-ended phase. Many more things will be open, and we'll get a better idea of what those items are as we go forward. I just want to once again thank my colleagues in government, Chairman of the Board of Legislators Ben Boykin, who's County Legislator for the 5th District here, Councilwoman and Council President Nadine Hunt-Robinson, her council colleague Jenn Puja, and State Assemblyman David Buchwald, who's with us here. And by the way, both Ben and David were former members of the White Plains Common Council. So as you can see, that's a very dynamic institution that people have graduated up from. I appreciate your time. I believe we have no questions that were waiting in the queue. So if there are any questions, I'm sorry, Peter, go ahead. Yes.
Nadine Hunt-Robinson mentioned White Plains being open for business and some how phase 3 is going. Are they, really, looking forward to phase 4, etc.? And also, is the county doing anything in the way of planning possible enforcement in view of the quarantine requirement
Right.
that Cuomo talked about yesterday?
Well, first of all, on the businesses, everyone is not only looking forward to phase 4, but phase 5 and phase 8 and 10 and whatever it takes for us to get fully back to where we once were. Realistically, we know that it's going to take a vaccine and or an antiviral treatment in order for everybody to be fully comfortable interacting in the society. And I think what we're watching now is we've been a couple of days into phase 3, which allows limited indoor dining to go along with outdoor dining, that some number of people are still not comfortable interacting yet in the society. We're seeing a rise in ridership on Metro North, but it doesn't look anything like it did, a couple of months ago. So I think this slow opening is not just what government does, but how individuals themselves feel about their level of comfort. And that's why we're trying with a session like this to go over what exactly we're doing to make this pool safe. What exactly are we doing to make sure that through our Department of Economic Development that we work with local businesses so that every store that you walk into that's now open has a certain protocol. You'll see splash guards that you never saw before. You'll see little things on the floor that tell you where you should stand when somebody is standing proximate to you. You'll see masks on. You'll see a hand sanitizer opportunity everywhere you go. So those are the things, Peter, that will help individuals feel more comfortable about fully engaging in the economic system. We have to try to open these things as prudently as we can, and at the same time, people have to have confidence that we're not doing it recklessly. Therefore, you should feel comfortable engaging in it. And we do see a big uptick in the economy of Westchester County. And the best example I can say is drive on I-287. I've been coming to work every day through the pandemic, and when I drove on 287 in the beginning of this, nobody else is on the road. Now I'm starting to see a little bit of traffic. You got to slow down. You got to change lanes and look around you. And there's many more people going back to work. So I think all of that is a good sign. In terms of enforcement of these situations, as I've said a number of times, our strategy in Westchester, I don't know that this would work in the center of Brooklyn. I don't know that this would work in other cities in the nation. But for Westchester County, the size and the scope of our communities, we are enforcing for compliance. We're not enforcing for punishment. In some places, tickets get written. I suppose in some places there are arrests. So those are a very difficult time to, engage in that type of situation. We expect our parks personnel and our police personnel to engage with people in a positive way, in a positive demeanor, and encourage them to put the mask on, encourage them to socially distance, encourage them to depart the facility when it's time to close the facility for sanitization. And so far, I think we've gotten pretty good compliance. I don't want to speak for Kathy. I'll watch if she nods her head yes or no. But we've been through this now for weeks upon weeks. This is a 14, 15-week process. We talk on the weekends. I spent many of my weekends driving around, looking at the parks, the hiking trails, and calling Kathy, calling Pete, how are we doing? I'm here, where are you? And we saw that there were examples of lack of compliance, but it's getting better with each passing week. There are some people who simply forget. I can't tell you how many times I've walked out of my car, gotten halfway to my point that I was going to, and have to stop and go back because I forgot my mask. And some people just forget, and we do have some to give out where people need it. For some, it's the exuberance of youth. When I'm 20 years old, I was so exuberant to be 20 and, of adult stature that I wouldn't always use good judgment, and some folks in that age category don't use these things. And then there's some folks for whom this is an ideological statement. They won't do it. And so, we're not looking for fist fights. If you see somebody that is willfully not engaging in social distance, you make your distance. Keep your distance from somebody who isn't. If they're not concerned that they might spread the disease, then you keep your distance and you protect yourself and yours to the best of your ability. Here at Saxon Woods, I think we can do that. There are circumstances in society where that's hard to do. But I think we're seeing greater voluntary compliance with each passing week. We've seen it on our Bicycle Sundays. We've seen it, in other settings. And I'm optimistic that as the numbers continue to diminish or flatten at a low level of flattening, that people see the benefit of doing this. We haven't flattened because politicians said, flatten the curve. We flattened because we did the right behaviors that were necessary. We put the masks on, like them or not, and we have helped the spread. And I think that's the success of the people of Westchester County, of whom obviously we're all, as elected, we're all very proud of those folks. So with that, I'm going to wish you a very happy weekend. If there are any emergency issues that arise, we will certainly communicate back with you. Catherine Chaffee, our Director of Communication, is always available for anybody who may be covering this remotely. And for those who are watching at home, we wish you a good weekend. You got a couple of pools to join, a couple of beaches now. It's going to get hot. Come on out, enjoy it. This is, your tax dollars at work. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. Thank you for your time. Be safe.